From a few feet away, this truck looks brand new, but up close, it's hiding a dirty, disgusting, and dodgy cover-up job, which I totally fell for. But to be fair, the auction independently graded this Super Duty in excellent condition, a 4.5 out of 5, and only listed 6 total cosmetic flaws on the entire thing. Apparently they stopped counting once they ran out of fingers on one hand. But just take a look at its photos. The thing looked pretty phenomenal from every angle, and it's the reason I paid $38,000 for it. I thought I was getting a nice, clean, lightly used truck, but what showed up was the automotive version of a Tinder date where the pictures were taken at angles that were criminal, along with the smell that you'd expect from an all-you-can-eat sushi joint. I bought this truck out of state, and when it was delivered, it was nighttime, so I didn't really see the cosmetic disaster that was on the outside, and I didn't see the extent of it till the morning. The first thing that really hit me was the odor when you open up this store. It has the classic car dealership masking cigarette smoke odor smell. It's like an artificial cherry mixed with baby powder. It's usually some sort of smoke bomb canister that they let off in here while they're running the AC. It's almost as bad as the cigarette odor smell itself. And it was obvious this car was smoked in by the cigarette burns here, and here. Also here and here. It's not just in the front seat, you got them here, and here. But if we go wide angle, just come out and look like the auction photos. The thing looks, man, it looks really nice. This is a classic case of a really decent surface detail, and somehow this thing gets a near perfect grade. Every car that goes through the auction's condition is represented by the color of its light. It's a traffic light system, and so you've got green, yellow, and red lights. They mean exactly what you probably think they do. Green light is it's a good to go vehicle, and sometimes they'll even call these frontline ready, which means you could stick them at the front line of your dealership, sell them tomorrow. Yellow light means proceed with some caution, and red light means it's completely as is, all bets are off. But the truth is, a lot of people just look at these lights on the surface and figure, like me in this case, I'm getting a green light. It's gonna be pretty decent. Like I found out with this one, it doesn't always work that way. Instead of thinking of the lights like green means good and red means bad, what you really need to know is how the lights cover you when it comes to making a claim with the auction. Now, since our truck was sold as a green light vehicle, the auction should stand behind it to some degree. And because so much of this damage was either missed, minimized, or really just not disclosed at all, we have a decent case to fight this through arbitration. Arbitration is basically when a third party hears both sides and decides a resolution. In this case, it's me versus the selling dealer, with the auction house acting as the deciding party, which is a little funny because the auction is also the one that listed this truck with the condition report we're arguing over, and it's not in their interest to unwind a deal because that means they lose their commission along with it. Now, to be fair, I really like buying from this auction, and in my experience, their condition reports are normally pretty accurate. This one just happened to be graded like the inspector was blind and had long COVID. Now, with arbitration, timing really matters. You can't sit on the truck for a couple weeks, drive it all over town, put a bunch of miles on it, and then suddenly decide that you don't want it. You need to move quickly, and they give you just a few days to file a claim after you receive the vehicle. But when filing for arbitration, the most important thing here is the claim has to be substantive. I've really only had to file a few arbitration claims over the last several years, and for the most part, the outcomes have been pretty fair, but I've also learned the hard way that if your argument isn't crystal clear, the rules will work against you. Like the time I bought the Z06 Corvette that someone swapped out the Z06 engine for a basic one, and because the arbitration guidelines had vague wording about older vehicles being allowed to have replacement engines, that wording basically turned a very expensive problem into my problem. So with this truck, we need more than it's scratched and it smells bad. We need to find something serious enough that there's really no debate here, that they should just take this truck back. The cosmetic damage here is a good start, but something more serious, like a big mechanical issue or undisclosed frame damage, is what will make this an open and shut case. At the moment, our arbitration claim would be based around a bunch of cosmetic issues, and they treat that like things that can be fixed. So what's likely to happen is they'll go to the seller, say, hey, he's not satisfied, chuck him a few $1,000s, make him shut up, and he can fix his problems on his own. In my opinion, there's way more than a few $1,000s worth of problems here. So while we're definitely going to file an arbitration claim, what I'm doing right now is just going on a short test drive to see if we can't find mechanical issues now wrong with the truck to add to this arbitration claim. We really got to expose every single problem that this truck has to make it known that, like, hey, it's going to cost way more to fix this truck than it would be worth you paying me out. So just take it back entirely. And as a matter of fact, just at very slow speeds, I'm hearing a knocking coming out of the steering column area here. The more time I spend with this thing, the worse it gets. There's no redeeming qualities to it whatsoever. Of course, they give it to you with absolutely no fuel in it, so I gotta fill up right now. There's not a single upside to this truck. Well, I guess the only upside really here is the fact that I will use Upside right now to get some cash back when we fill this truck up. All I gotta do is pop up Upside and use its map to see who has the best price on gas in my area, then hit claim, and right now I'm getting back 10 cents a gallon on this fill up. I didn't fill this up all the way because our goal with this truck is to get it back to the auction and make the sellers buy it back, but no matter the reason for needing gas, you gotta check out Upside. They also have amazing cash back over at grocery stores and restaurants, and I was just now noticing that they've got 38% cash back over at Five Guys. This is real cash back that can go straight to your bank account or even PayPal. And well, all you got to do is hit the link in the description box or scan the QR code and get Upside totally for free. When you sign up using code SAMCRACK, that's going to get you 25 cents per gallon back on your first fill. Upside has paid out over $1 billion in cash back, so make sure you claim some of it. Hit the link in the description box, download the free Upside app, and use that promo code SAMCRACK during sign up to get 25 cents a gallon back on your first fill up with Upside. So we got Andrew in the truck now driving because he said there was a squeaking noise coming from the outside of the truck. Yeah, I'm starting to hear it now. All right, so the noise sounds like it's coming from this passenger side rear, and when, like right now, where the truck is going left, the noise gets quieter. When the truck is turning right, the noise actually gets louder. Oh. And since it's not from the axle that steers, it's got to be suspension related, because as the suspension's loaded one way versus the other, well, you get the noise. But even just going straight, you can hear it. Listen.
While I was driving it, I could see in the reflection of the windshield, there's a bunch of schmutz in the vents for the defroster, like change and bottle caps.
Really?
Yeah.
What I'm seeing is, look, right here, this is weird. Right where the VIN is, you know, people when they steal trucks, they try and cover this up. There's a dime, and that's a plastic spoon or fork or something right there. Hold on, but you're saying up in the defrost. Oh my God, there's a, dude, what the? Oh, there's some good money in there. There's something disgusting right here. I can't tell what it is.
This was a work truck for sure.
What, was that like a hobby of theirs to throw shit in the vents?
You do the earplug? You never see those construction work trucks where they have a bunch of stuff on the dash?
No.
Then you wonder how people drive like that?
And then you see, now but here, you're saying that, a bunch of stuff on the dash, right? What I notice is that this dash, which looks really glossy, you get close to it, you see how scratched up it is?
Oh yeah.
It's all marred up. So you're right. They threw everything just on the dash because this was a beater of all beaters. And look, you know, the other thing I noticed is you noticed the bed liner, right?
Oh yeah. It looks like a cheap one that they just threw on there.
This is where I feel like such an idiot, because I saw the new bed liner in the photos, and it really kind of just brought me back to the last Super Duty I bought that I got completely lucky with, because that thing had a salvage title. It's right back there. It's in beautiful shape still, much better condition than this truck. It had a similar amount of miles. It was a few years old, just like this one. It's gas powered, just like this one. And well, someone used that truck as like a commuter truck, as just something pretty to look at. The interior was immaculate, the bed was immaculate, and well, I thought that because this bed liner was perfect, people just looked at it. But the second I saw the cosmetic condition on the outside, I knew that this bed liner was put here to hide a ton of wear. Of course, if we just lift this up, you could see there is basically a ton of wear. What a disaster, what an annoying thing. And this is obvious. This is the sort of stuff that I'm sure other auction truck buyers know about, the bed liner trick. But, well, I learned something new with this one, and it makes sense. Look, this is kind of a cheap aftermarket bed liner. There's nothing wrong with that. But like if this was somebody's play truck, it would have the OEM Ford bedliner in it. And again, it would have some sort of wear on it because some sort of wear comes with a 60,000 mile truck. This just feels like a complete sham. Even so, with everything we found thus far, I feel like it's just not enough. And we gotta check underneath, especially after hearing those weird noises. The first thing to look at here are the pinch welds. Believe it or not, if a pinch weld is bent, which is super common from someone just jacking up their car, a lot of these dealer auctions classify that as frame damage. And if frame damage wasn't disclosed, that will trigger a buyback. Now, personally, I think that's a little extreme. Most of these used vehicles have minor jack marks, but technically, if the auction considers it frame damage, I'd love to use it as our advantage here. But somehow, the pinch welds on both sides of this thing look perfect. And honestly, so did most of the underside. There's no major rust, no obvious frame damage, no crease sections, and nothing that immediately pointed to a serious accident. For a 60,000 mile truck, the bottom was surprisingly clean. Now in the rear corner where we heard the squeak, I found some twine wrapped around the brake hose, and while it looked strange at first, it seemed to be more of a coincidence than like an attempted repair. But as we got closer to the drivetrain, I did notice the oil cooler was drippy and wet. At first, I just thought it was a leak from an old oil filter, and with these leaks, as you drive, it kind of sprays that oil all down the underside. But once I put my hands on it, the fluid was clearly coolant. So we do actually have a coolant leak at the oil cooler, which is totally worth adding to our arbitration claim. Fluid leaks always matter, especially with how expensive dealer repairs have become, but it still doesn't feel like the smoking gun. In the engine bay, we tracked that knocking noise to what seemed like play in our steering shaft. It's another valid issue and another thing definitely to list in our report. But still, there's gotta be something bigger here. The truck didn't feel accidentally underreported. It feels like a total cover-up. Now, one other real easy thing we can do here is just scan the truck for trouble codes. Even though there's no warning lights on the dash, stored codes can still tell you a bit. Now, at first I was really trying to just find some engine trouble codes here that could help us, but there were a ton of codes for the airbag and seatbelt systems. Serious ones at that. Things like airbag deployment control, seatbelt sensor faults for every single seatbelt in the car. There was something related to the brake switch here, just something is off. Now there's little doubt in my mind that something bigger happened with this truck and we're finally getting somewhere. These aren't the kind of codes that get triggered because of a low battery. They suggest the restraint system saw some kind of event or that parts of the safety system weren't repaired or communicating properly with the rest. I went and saved all these codes and I'll definitely be putting them in our arbitration claim. But to get a second opinion, I took the truck to a local friend of mine who happens to be one of the best automotive painters in the world. I figured he could give us a professional take on things. So I'm here at Crash Champions with 30-year auto body veteran Candyman. And so I brought you this truck. Now here's the Cliff Notes version, right? Get the truck, the auction said it was pretty much in perfect shape. It's clearly not, a lot of cosmetic things, but I haven't found anything like frame damage. I got underneath it. I haven't found anything obvious. And the one thing that's so strange is that there's a lot of codes in the safety modules that make it sound like the car was in some sort of severe accident. What I want to know from you is if you see anything like respray work or anything of the sort, and whether just anything else stands out to you, because besides like a lot of little cosmetic stuff, I don't see much.
So right away I could see that something was hit in the back. You could see this is buckled here. This is an aluminum bed, and it looks like somebody nailed something here, maybe working with it, or somebody hit it. They probably yanked this back with a chain. One thing right away I could tell is that the wheels look kind of clean and the tires look pretty new. So they look like they might have had some type of aftermarket wheel on it.
Okay, so here's two things. First of all, I completely didn't notice this. This is exactly why I brought it to you. Because this in itself, I mean, being an aluminum bed, what's the...
Be taken off, you know, re-riveted on, and I can see here, see how weak this is?
Yeah.
Look in here, you got holes drilled in your wheel well.
Oh my goodness.
PDR got to get to the inside of that to buckle it out.
Dude, this is exactly what we need right here. See, this is why I came to you, man. This is why I came to you. So that right there.
They were trying to get their tools in there to poke out that buckle, because I'm sure that this was a lot worse.
Oh my goodness.
You can see the flex in it. Look at it. See how easy that moves? This side's doesn't have that hole where that one was. See how it has this factory hole here?
Yeah.
The other one had one that they drilled, tried to make it look factory, but you can see it's bare metal around the edges. That's how you know somebody was in there playing around. see they went in here and PDR'd this out.
Okay. I did notice it was a little bit wavy there, and there's something here on the other side of the door that looks similar. Oh my goodness, another hole? Look, you can see. So this thing was all
This is a
smacked
guy that
up.
don't know how to do the PDR like my buddy Brad. He don't put holes in them, he glue pulls, and this is kind of like just quick, fast, make it look better type of work.
Wow.
And that don't sound kosher.
The whole thing, it creaks down the road. There's knocking coming out of the steering.
Oh, look at this. Look at the shims under the back.
Oh my goodness. That's terrible. Oh my God. Now, since the rear of this bed was buckled, these shims were put in as spacers to help keep everything tight and aligned as best as they could while keeping the repair very cheap. Now, thanks to Candyman, he's pretty much solved this puzzle. It's clear this truck had some sort of accident. Probably not a huge one, but something that swiped all down its side and damaged its rear corner. And then every repair was done as cheaply as possible. And it shows, as we found more drill holes in both passenger side doors. Each one of these drill holes constitutes major undisclosed damage that will be impossible to argue. According to Candyman, with these aluminum bodied trucks, each part here that was dented in basically just needs to be replaced, which would be both door skins and the bedside. These parts, all installed and painted, would easily exceed $10,000 worth of work. Now, as crummy as this truck is, it isn't completely worthless, but I think it's easy to prove it's worth substantially less than what I paid for it, and that's because it was completely misrepresented. But with the amount of evidence we've gathered here, I'm finally confident that we'll have a very solid case, and that this truck won't be my truck or my problem going forward. We're back at the auction with the truck, and we've got great news. That's that they are buying it back from us. Earlier on, when this was first delivered and we started just recording and documenting everything, I was wondering if we were gonna find any sort of major issue because it was one of these strange ones. I'm grateful that Candyman was able to basically expose the story of this truck. Something happened all along the side of it. They did the cheapest and junkiest possible repair. It obviously shows, but without that information, getting this bought back would have not been as easy. So I gotta give him a huge thanks. Make sure you're following Candyman. I'm gonna drop a link to his channel down in the description box. And I hope you guys learned something from this one because I sure did. When these cars are delivered and something is grossly misrepresented, the first thing you want to do is go and complain. And time is of the essence. You only have a few days after you receive your vehicle to actually file one of these arbitration claims. So if I would have just gone in within the first few hours of getting the car and said, hey, you know, it's got scratches down the side of it, the outcome wouldn't have been as strong as it was. By taking our time looking all around the truck and by getting the advice of an expert. And I also want to thank Mannheim for just making the process so seamless. Once they saw all the pictures and video footage that we sent them of the damage, they pushed to have this thing bought back. Now guys, I don't typically make videos like this. I don't like making videos like this, but again, if you feel like you learned something or if you enjoyed it, let me know down in the comments and drop a like. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching today, and I'll catch you very soon.